Hi, I'm Lance with Aspen Mountain Plumbing, and today we're going to instruct you on how to service and clean a tankless water heater. For this example, we have a Rinnai. Most tankless water heaters are pretty basic as far as cleaning, as long as they have what they call the isolator valves down here at the bottom. So we're just going to go ahead and show you step by step on how we do this. First thing we'll do is we'll go ahead and kill the power to the Rinnai. I'll remember what temperature setting they have it at so we can reset it at that same. And by doing that, you just unplug it and it should just kill itself right there. We'll go ahead and take our screwdriver. On the Rinnais, they have these little fancy clips here. If you're doing a Navion, you'll have 2 screws on top and 2 screws directly on the bottom. On the Rinnais, especially the 94s like this one, you have just little screws here, and be careful you don't lose them. They do fall from time to time. Go ahead and get that off. Now, the manufacturer recommends once a year cleaning these. It really depends on how hard of water you have. In our area here in Rock Springs, Wyoming, we have really hard water, so it'd probably be better if it was done at least twice a year. Minimum of once a year per manufacturer's requests. So we'll go ahead and get that ready. As you can see here, it looks really different when it's open. There's not much to them if you know what you're doing. They can be kind of confusing just looking at it straight up like this. This is your heat exchanger, and what we're going to do today is we're actually going to clean this part of it right here. That's where the flame hits the water as it's coming through a coil tubing. And what we'll do is clean that all out, get any of that hard water off of it. This system's been installed quite a few years now and has never been serviced, so this is its first servicing. The second thing we're going to do now is we're going to go ahead, or the third thing is we're going to go ahead and turn off the water to it. On the isolator valves, it depends on which ones you have. They all have a water shut off, and it's usually on the sides. And then the next thing we're going to do is open these front valves, which is our cleaning valves. And we're going to actually open those up first thing here. We're going to take a 5-gallon bucket, which you can see down here, and we're going to take all of our stuff up, and we'll need a sump pump and 2 hoses. And that little submersible pump will get hooked up to one of these hoses. And we're going to use this one right here. And what you want to do is you want to put this pump hooked up to the hot side, because what we want to do is we want to pull the water and all the chemical that we're going to use to clean this through the coil. And so we'll hook it up to the hot side, which is always going to be on your left hand side here. I'm going to do this real quick. Try to get it in there without it leaking water everywhere. It's not doing too good. The nice thing about having a tankless and using the pump is you always have electrical right next to it. So we'll go ahead and get this in here like this. Shove it down in here like this real quick. Make sure that we're lined up on it. And it will have some water, and what that water is just water inside that heat exchanger that's coming out, as we bypass the water on the system. So this cap fell off. We'll just put it over here so we don't lose it. Okay, the next thing we're going to do is add our chemical. Now, you can get a special cleaning solution from the companies that make these. It's quite a bit. You can also get a kit that comes with the pump and the bucket. They're about 40 to 50 bucks. Or you can just go to Walmart like we do and get the white distilled vinegar and use that. They're about maybe $3 a bottle. What we always do is we always do 2 full gallons. So we'll go ahead and open this up. Open our gallons. Vinegar. And I always do 2 full gallons, that way I just make sure that we have enough and that it's potent enough to get it. And I don't dilute it with water or nothing, I just straight vinegar right in. And the nice thing about the vinegar is it stinks a little bit, but it works really well and it's really cheap. And most people can get this wherever they're at in the United States. And it cleans pretty good on that copper without hurting it. Now, One thing you don't want to use is a chemical like CLR because it will tarnish your copper and ruin the copper heat exchanger. If you've got a stainless steel heat exchanger like the Navion's put in theirs, then it might not be such a big deal. But like I said, we always use just vinegar and it works just great. I'm going to tighten that up a little bit more there on that. So we're good. Tight, make sure that it's not leaking on me anywhere. It's got a good seal on it. Okay, and I always use these stainless steel braided hoses. These are hoses that we are just designed just for using on this system. We'll go ahead and open up the cold side now. And like I said, we've turned off all the water, so the only thing that's in here is going to be water that's from the heat exchanger itself. We're just going to put a regular hose on this. We're going to put that hose back inside that bucket. And basically what you're doing is you're going to pull that water through that system, and because it's on this hot side, it's going to pull that through and pump it, and then it's just going to push it through on this other side. So we'll go ahead and plug in our pump now. We're going to let this run 5 to 10, 15, 20 minutes. The longer it's been in service and not been cleaned, the longer you want to clean it. And we can get a close-up once we get it going of how that turns out. Go ahead and show it right there of what we've got right now as far as clearness in that bucket. You can see that it's pretty clear water there, and it should be about a blue color or a green color when we're done. So we're going to go ahead and get her going here. Looks like it needs to be tightened a little bit more. These old ones are hard to tighten on this. I'll just put that underneath. Not losing it. Okay, and we have it clean. We're just going to let that run. While that runs, we take a look at everything, just make sure everything looks good. It looks like there's been some water coming out on here. Now they did have a water leak, so this could have been from condensate building up inside when they had the water leak on this side over here. It got moisture in the air. It probably condensated on this, and then when it was running, it probably just charred it. There's no evidence of leaks right now on the machine, so we're probably pretty good there. I'll just take a look at it. I'll disconnect this little board here. Set it to the side here at your control, and this is kind of the part on a Renai here, or that will probably have the most servicing, and that's your fan assembly. A lot of times, especially in our area, we have times of the years like springs where we have a high concentration of moss, and they're attracted to the concentric vent because of the heat coming out of it. And because they're attracted to it, a lot of times when it kicks on and sucks in for the combustion air, it will suck in those moss and trap them inside this. So a lot of times what I'll do is I'll just disconnect this clamp right here. I'll pull it back, and I'll just take a sneak peek in there with my flashlight and just see what it looks like in there. You should be able to see the fan pretty good. And it's got some moss in it. It's a little dirty. So we're gonna probably take that out. That's actually really easy to do. It sounds, I mean, like I said, these look really complicated, but they're not. They're pretty basic. The reason it looks so complicated is because what it's got to perform, and it's got electronics that do all the performing for it. So you undo these top screws right here on this one, and you got to be really careful with these screws because they are really small. I would recommend using a long regular Phillips screwdriver, not a drill. I deal with these on a daily basis, so I've got a real soft touch with the impact, and I've gotten it down to where we don't have to worry about it too much. Once we get that, disconnect this little plug right here off. That's just unattach it. And what we're going to do is we're going to actually pull this out, which if I've got it disconnected right, it should just come right out. I might take some love and get it out of there a little bit. Make sure I'm not hung up on anything here. Okay. So what we're going to do is take it out. And as you can see, you might want to get close up with that, Matt, if you can. You can see you got some bugs and debris in there. So what we'll do is we'll just take our flathead screwdriver and we'll just kind of get in there and be real careful not to bend those tin fins. You might be able to see it better here. And if you watch, I'm going to shake that out of there and see if we can get them out. Here, let's put this screws in there. So you can see that there's some bird feathers and you know, a whole bunch of bugs and stuff stuck inside there. What that'll do is that'll actually affect the balance of that fan and cause it to not rotate properly. It won't be able to suck in the air like it needs to. It's just got a lot of nasties inside that you just want to make sure it's clean. That fan controls your air and your removal of your venting. So it's a pretty vital part. I have seen this part suck in dead birds. I've also seen it suck in mice. So I mean, if it's got a critter there next to it and it turns on, it's got some powerful suction, and it will do it. It will get rid of them real quick. We've had actually one unit that we serviced had 6 mice in it. So I mean, and they weren't very big mice, but they got sucked in pretty quick. So, and this will do it. I mean, it's got some force on it. It's almost like a vacuum cleaner when it's turned on. Got some good force. And you can see I'm knocking out these moths. You can probably see it as they're coming out here. Just a bunch of moths inside there, a bunch of bugs. Some guys will take a compressor, an air compressor, and blow it out, which if I brought it with me, we would have. But you can see it's just taking out chunks of moths out of there. Nothing major. But we just want to make sure we get that nice and clean and where it's got a good rotation. Make sure that it's cleared out of that vent stack. As you see, a whole bunch of debris just came out of there when I did that. But just make sure it's nice and clean. And that way we're not killing the customer's time while we're sitting here just cleaning. We can actually investigate and make sure that everything's clean on it, the fan assembly and everything. Now the fan assembly is an important part. It has that motor in there, and that motor will kick on and it blows the fan out, takes all the exhaust, pushes it out, and then it brings fresh air in, and that's what actually feeds your flame. So that's why it's important, is if your flame's not good, you're not going to have very good heat, because this is based on the direct heat system. So get that all out of there. A lot in there, huh? You still got chunks up in here of it. Can't seem to get it all out. I'm gonna have to take the fan assembly off here and pull it out, but just do those screwdrivers right, the screws right there. Good. So you can get it out more. Not screw it off. This is a common problem around here, so it depends on where you live. If you don't get a lot of moss, you may not have this issue. But because we do get lots of moss here in the high country of Wyoming, we do have a lot of problems with moss, and so we do get a lot of this issue here. Sometimes we'll have a service call, and that's all it is a moth call. So loosen that up and try to get that to where it's got some more access to it. You can see there's quite a few in there. We might have to get a shot back to clean that all out. In there. So the problem was this customer was having a fluctuation in temperature on their water. They'd run the shower, it would go hot, it would go cold, it would go hot, it would go cold, which to me tells me that it's probably a heat exchanger issue, that it's not heating it directly, it's kicking in and out. So you'll have areas where it's clogged up with calcium buildup, and so you'll have the heat's not heating it directly to the water, it's heating it to the calcium, and it's hitting blotches. So when it gets blotchy like that, 9 times out of 10 it's a heat exchanger issue. Every once in a while it'll be a fan issue or something else. Like I said, it's got it all nice and clean in there pretty much now. Got a few moss left in there. You can see all the debris that came out of it. It was pretty dirty. So might have been a combination of both in this one. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and put these little screws back in. We'll put the fan assembly back in. Some of that will probably get discharged out when we get back up. And you can see there's a little bit of dust in here. There's not too much. So as long as everything's been set coordinates the way it's supposed to, should be fine. As you can see, the water's changed darker colors here. It's quite dirty now. Some of that might have been from me throwing the fan around, but most of that is from the heat exchanger being dirty. It's It's a filthy thing. It gets gross with calcium, and basically it sticks to the copper. Stainless steel, it's a little bit more resistant to the stick, so you don't have that issue as much. Stainless steel ones. We personally, I prefer a Navion tankless water heater to these. They're nice, mostly because they have a built-in recirculating system to where you can do the bigger houses with them. They do have a stainless steel heat exchanger, which to me I think is just by far the superior way to go. But there is many different types, and you know, people choose what they want to choose. This one was installed by a company here in town that does nothing but nice, so I mean that's fine. That's what they chose. So like I said, I'm a fan of Navion. I've done their training in California, and I think they're a far better piece of equipment than Renai. They've just got a little bit better settings, and they've just kind of worked out some of the bugs that Renai still has. There's different models of Renai's. I've done some commercial models, and they're not too bad. But basically, that's all there is to cleaning the fan assembly. We'll just get this rubber boot back over the top of it right here. I don't know if you can see that, Matt, or not. That rubber boot goes over the top of that. Okay. So then that clamp just holds it on. That's all there is to it. That's all there is to keeping that air coming in. And try to get that over there as far as you can on that thing. Like I said, that's the hardest part. It's just dealing with how tight and compact these things are. Especially these Renais, they're really compact. Navion's got a little bit more room to play with. And we'll go ahead and take our plug, which we unplugged, plug it back in, and we'll go ahead and put our control board back in. It just slides in there like that. Okay, so there's not much to it. That just fits over the top of that. So basically, you got your sight glass right here for your burner. This is your primary heat exchanger. This is where it initially gets hot. And then it goes through your secondary, and secondary is actually what increases the temperature of it. And then you have your flame sensor, and you have your igniter. So the way this works is it's got a pressure sensor inside the flow switch on the inlet, and as it comes in, it senses that there's a need for pressure, and it senses that there's a faucet open. And so what it does is it'll automatically tell the controller it's time to turn on, sends a signal up to the hot surface igniter, ignites a flame, and then it burns as the water's coming through. As soon as you shut that off, it senses that it's shut off. There's no need for hot water. It shuts everything down, and that's how it saves on energy. As always, if there's any questions you have, feel free to leave any comments. We like to hear what you do different if you do it. We like to learn. That's how we all grow and get better. Like I said, there's other chemicals that they use specifically for this. We never use it. We always use vinegar. It's just a cheaper route, and it's a lot easier for us to get here in Wyoming since we have to ship everything in. If there's any questions, feel free to give us a call, 307-922-4413. Thank you, and have a great day.
Go.
Okay, so now it's been about 10-15 minutes of this running. We cleaned the fan. We did all of our minor checks on this thing. We're going to go ahead and unplug the pump. That kills our water going in, or our vinegar going in and out. Now, something I always do is I will always backflow it in through the pump. So I'll disconnect from the cold side first. Okay. And as you can hear, it's coming back into the bucket. And then I will go ahead and turn this off and put this back on. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave that turned off on the hot side. We're going to shut the valve that we was using for our hose off and turn the cold water on. What that's going to do is that's going to force it through our pump into the bucket. And what that's going to do is flush out any vinegar that is left in there out to where the customer's not smelling the vinegar. If I can get the thing to turn. So we're going to add some water through there. Blast it all out. I'm going to fill it up a little bit. And I always go to the top of my pump, that way I know I'm good. Shut that off. That should be enough flushing, that's all it takes. So you can open up a valve, close that valve, disconnect that hose. And basically what you're doing is just getting the vinegar out of the system. You don't want to heat the vinegar. You just want to heat just that system. Where is that cap? There. Looks like this doesn't have a cap on it. Plug on it. So now we've got both of our hose caps back on here and shut off. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn on the cold again. Which way was it that I did that? Is it that way, Matt? I can't remember. There we go. So now you can see that we're not going to have any leaks here. I'm going to now open up the hot side. The whole time I'm leaving this cover off because I want to inspect it when we turn it on. I'll go ahead and go to a faucet and turn on the hot, get the air out of the system if there's any. And I want to run that for a few minutes before I actually plug it in, because once you plug this in, it's going to automatically tell this machine it needs to heat up. As you can see, the color of the bucket is disgusting now. You can actually see the calcium starting to float up on top here. It was on it. We're going to go ahead and plug this in. Now it was set at 115, so we're going to leave it at 115. We're going to watch it. As you can see, my flow cut down on my faucet. Flow should be open on all of this. There we go. It turns on. I'm going to say here, this is the color flaming you want. You just want to come in and check it. Make sure that you got a nice blue color. Go ahead and see if you can see that through there, Matt. It seems to be working fine. Nice blue color on the flame. Can you see that? So it's going good. We'll go over here and check the faucet, see if we got good hot water. Should be coming out pretty warm. And it hasn't yet, so it's not quite through the system yet. Feel hot on that heat exchanger, Matt?
Getting there.
Getting hot. And it's starting to warm up over here now, so basically what I want to do is just check, make sure that we got good warm water before we do anything. That's coming out nice and good now. Nice and good. Now I usually will set my temperature at 120 on Navions, but it's whatever the customer wants. I like 120. I like my dishes to be nice and sterile, and I think 120 is about that perfect temperature.
And then there's some women that like it even hotter.
Some women love it. Love it hot. Some women, like my wife, don't like it as hot as I do. So I shut it off, just making sure that everything's working good. And there you go. You hear the fan kill, and then it's shutting itself down off on it. Looks like somebody cut that TMP valve off at one point. So these are our condensing unit. So you got to make sure that if they have a condensing line on it, which this one actually does not have a condensing tube on it. Oh, they've got the condenser on the vent here, see that? So they've got a condensing tube coming down, they've got their trap right here, and then that dumps to the floor drain. And that's why. We're gonna go ahead and put the cover back on. I've got my 4 screws sitting down there. Put it all back together. If most customers knew how easy this was, they'd probably buy the kit and just do it themselves. And that's fine. We do have customers that prefer us to come and do it even though they know how easy it is. Some customers don't have a clue. But that's why we're putting this on our website, is to help those people to where they can do it themselves and not have to spend money on services like us. So there it is. It's all complete. We've got that cleaned. We're going to go ahead and dump our bucket, get our pump together, and head on our way to the next job. Thank you for watching. Have a great day.